Reconvene to the regular meeting of the Board of Education at 7 o'clock with Blair, Cruz, Fikes, Nah, and Orozco present. Before we begin, please silence all electronic devices and note that these proceedings are being recorded. Pat?
The board met in closed session from 5:15 to 6:49 p.m. regarding conference with legal counsel, existing and anticipated litigation, conference with labor negotiators, public employee discipline dismissal release, and public employee appointment, Director of Health Services Child Development, and junior high school assistant principal. In closed session, moved Nah, seconded Cruz. Motion carried 4-0 with Cruz, Nah, Fikes, Orozco, yes, and Blair absent. The board voted to grant OPA's request for an extension of time to file their opening brief on appeal in order to allow Oxford time to respond to the district's motion to the Court of Appeal to dismiss the appeal, and voted to accept the resignation of classified employee number 4580 effective October 6, 2017 by the following vote: Cruz, Fikes, Nah, Orozco voting yes, Hernandez, Blair absent, and voted to appoint Sherry Johnson, Ph.D., as Director, Health Services, Child Development, effective October 6, 2017, with Cruz, Fikes, Nah, Orozco voting yes, and Hernandez, Blair absent. No further action was taken, which requires public disclosure.
Thank you. Will Krish Singh, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remove all caps and hats. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll begin with our student showcase, and this evening we have Country Springs Elementary. So, Mr. Mackesy, would you please introduce your students?
Good evening, President Orozco, Board, Superintendent Joseph, Cabinet, and guests. I think the Chino PD came by and gave you an overview of the Elementary Police Academy last year sometime, but we wanted to give you some insight in what our students think about it. At Country Springs, the Police Academy has been a large part of our sixth grade experience for over 15 years. It was started by a parent to replace the DARE program and has evolved into a week-long exciting opportunity for our students. They are taught how and why they need to stay away from dangerous drugs. They learn about the importance of gun safety. They spend time discussing the hazards of social media and bullying. When the lessons are done for the day, they learn how to become a cohesive group through daily marching drills. We even get to make a trip to the Chino PD and take a tour of the station and meet the police chief. At the end of the week, they perform their marching skills in front of the entire school and their families. But what is truly important about the lesson that they get over this week is that the police are our friends and are here to help us. Krish Singh was the student leader of the Police Academy, and I'll now turn the program over to him. Krish?
Hello, my name is Krish Singh. I was the Red Hat in Police Academy. The Red Hat is the class leader of the Police Academy cadets. Please stand for our national anthem. Choir, take your posts.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled
take your post. Blue hats, take your post. The Blue Hats and I would like to present about our experiences in Police Academy. As a red hat, I had to be very loud so the whole class could hear me. I had to say many chants which would tell the cadets what to do and what not to do. I was always right next to the sergeant and the officer. In Police Academy, we learned about bullying, narcotics, and firearms. We learned that you should never bully anybody because it can cause someone to take severe actions which are sometimes life-threatening. Bullies think that just because they're big and tall, they can bully anybody. But that's not true. Nobody should bully anyone, no matter their size or height or anything else. You also learn that if you take narcotics, it can change the way you look and the way you act. Some drugs that are commonly used are methamphetamine, heroin, and marijuana. Finally, some things we learned about firearms are that you should never have firearms in your possession or ever touch a firearm. Some kids can accidentally take their life just because they're playing with a handgun. This was my Police Academy experience. Thank you. Now I would like to call up our first Blue Hat, Tej Patel.
Hello, my name is Tej Patel, one of the Blue Caps for class of 2018 Police Academy. Police Academy meant a lot. We learned never to use drugs such as methamphetamine, heroin, cocaine, and marijuana, since they can mess up your life and your appearance. Also, we learned the difference between real guns and airsoft guns, and how we can change airsoft guns to look like real guns. Firearm safety was also really important, since they can harm your life. Lastly, we learned about bullying, which is very unnecessary and mean. To me, Police Academy was a great and fun experience, and I appreciate Sergeant Mena and Officer Cato for taking their time out of their day to teach us. Thank you.
I would now like to call up our second Blue Hat, Andrew Min.
Hello, my name is Andrew Min, and I was one of the Blue Hats. The Blue Hats' job was to make the line straight, hold the flag high, march, and chant. As a Class 2018 Blue Hat, I learned many things. The first thing I learned was that drugs can affect your life. As we looked at pictures who took drugs like meth, cocaine, marijuana, and heroin, it was terrifying. The second thing I learned was firearm safety. We saw how airsoft guns looks like real gun and how it's important not to use it in public. The third thing I learned was not to bully. We learned how this can give stress to the person that is getting bullied. The final thing I learned was how to march and chant in unison. I also liked going to the police department in Chino. It was very fun because we saw policemen in work and live operations. As a conclusion, Police Academy was super fun except for the push-ups. I hope everybody else in the lower grades will get to experience this amazing program. Thank you all for coming here today with us and have a wonderful rest of your night.
Now I would like to call up our third Blue Hat, Rihanna Alano.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rihanna Alano, and I was a Blue Cap flag holder during the Police Academy. Sergeant Mena and Officer Cato gave us 3 rules. Rule number 1, no drugs. Sergeant Mena taught us using drugs can ruin your life. Rule number 2, no firearm. Officer Cato showed us pictures of how firearm can affect you and maybe people around you. Rule number 3, no bullying. We learned that bullying can be physically right in front of someone or through a computer screen. My favorite part of the whole event was going to the Chino Police Department. At the police department, I had fun while learning something new. Thank you and have a good evening.
Now I would like to call up our fourth Blue Hat, Sabrina Abuusha.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sabrina Abuusha. I'm a 6th grade Country Springs student, and I participated in Police Academy as a Blue Cap. A Blue Cap means that you are in charge of your line and making sure, in charge of making sure you and your line are straight. In Police Academy, we learned all types of police commands. We learned about gun safety and drugs and what they do to your body over time. We learned about bullying and what to do when you see it. And most importantly, we learned discipline. We also got to visit the Chino Police Department and tour rooms like the 911 operator. It was a total life-changing experience. The only thing I disliked was all the push-ups we had to do for not getting in line on time. What's funny is we had to call the sergeant sheriff for a week, and for the next week I called everyone sir, including my soccer coach, which he thought was funny because I barely even call him coach. Anyway, Police Academy was the best experience of Country Springs to date, and I personally think everyone should do Police Academy at one point in their life for fun and for discipline. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Now we would like to present our class chant. Choir, take your post. Class, who are we?
Sir, class 2018, making the right choices. Hoorah, hoorah, sir.
Thank you for allowing us to present this. Once again, thank you.
Mrs. Fikes? Mrs. Fikes?
Yes. Before Country Springs leaves,
Yeah.
Country Springs, don't go away yet.
Country Springs.
Come back.
Yeah.
Come back.
Come on in.
of course, I know the board is very appreciative of the Chino Police Department and their efforts on your behalf, and of course, Officer Mena, who I met when he was doing the same program at Newman. So he's given it mightily of his services. I wanted to recognize all of the presenters tonight because Country Springs does a terrific job of helping you feel pretty comfortable at the microphone. You do an excellent job. I'm very proud of you. I'm so happy with the program that they have at Country Springs that prepares you for this opportunity to make your best effort and to do well. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fikes. Mr. Nah.
Yes, I have visited your classrooms perhaps several times, and I have told you that you guys were the best, and you had proved it to me tonight. But also, look at our parents. Whenever I visited your school, you had your parents helping out our teachers. So let's thank our parents who are enthusiastic, but also who had sacrificed their lives for you. So let's have parents stand up.
They're standing up, taking pictures.
Oh, yeah, they can do that.
Over here.
Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to watch your children to grow and see that we're going to have a bright future for this country with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nah. Mr. Cruz.
I know you guys did fantastic job. But you know, I was thinking, at school you take tests all the time, right? But we know that that does not define the character of a student. So, hard work. That's something that's very difficult to measure. But when you think about it, a person that does really well in tests but works hard, who would you choose? So I'm very impressed about the character build that this police academy has done for you. You sense this patriotism, the love of country that is coming out of you. And I feel like you've learned about your surroundings. So you're very proactive. And it is true about drugs. There is an epidemic in this country that is very severe. It is breaking records of the number of people that are taking drugs. So I'm very proud that this program is making you guys aware of drugs and safety too. So when it comes to quizzes and tests, this that you have learned will keep for a lifetime. And this is what America is really about. So I have to applaud about what you guys have done. So, good job.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. And I just want to piggyback on what Mrs. Fikes said, in that you appear to be so comfortable when you're up there speaking. And so I think we're looking at some future leaders up here. So congratulations to every single one of you. and to those that are coming behind you who will be doing the same thing. So thank you for being great models, role models, and good luck for the future, because I see some leaders here. Good job. So, okay, so why don't we have, because I think parents want to take pictures,
so
so
you
why
guys
don't you
come
guys
up
come
and
up front? Just come up front. Let's photo op. Photo op. We'll get out of the way.
Get a line or push-ups. We're going to do push-ups.
Thank you for being here, everyone. Parents, students, teachers. Mr. Mackesy, thank you. Give it a minute. Mr. Joseph, I believe you have an introduction to make.
Yes, I see where Dr. Sherry Johnson is here, so please come on up, our new Director of Health Services and Child Development.
Good evening. I'd really like to take this moment just to thank all of you for this opportunity to serve as your new Director of Health Services and Child Development. I've spent my entire career working to enhance the mental health and behavioral health services of students as a psychologist and most recently as a coordinator. And the position takes a slightly different turn for me, but all the same, I really keep in mind at the forefront that the position will allow me more opportunities to further my work for students and family, and I really think this is an opportunity for us to work together as a district, to work together as a team, and to really do what's best for our students. So anyway, thank you.
Congratulations and thank you. Okay, we are now at comments from student representative. Jonah, do you have anything you'd like to share with us tonight?
Yes. Good evening. So we had our first Student Advisory Council meeting September 26th. Not much was discussed at this meeting. However, we do have some important points. Ramona Junior High, they are having an Alzheimer's walk on October 21st. And I encourage all of you to check the Ramona Junior High website for more information and to sign up for the team that they have and to donate. And also we discussed how there is training going on in the district that is offering less punishments and more reward. So the district is hoping that this will improve overall student behavior within the district And this is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonah. So we are now at comments from employee representatives. Steve Ball, ACT.
Good evening. One of the things that makes our district unique is the high percentage of teachers that live within our district boundaries. And that's just not the case with a lot of districts. In fact, we have several hundred teachers that are part of this community for more than just the school day. We're your neighbors and your customers and your coaches, fellow church members, and some of us, many of us, are parents who send our kids to our own great schools. And we love where we live. So for the third year, the Associated Chino Teachers is participating in the roadway adoption program through Chino Hills. And we're lending a hand to our city crews to just keep our streets litter-free and beautiful. And our little adopted piece of the world is right on the border between Chino and Chino Hills. It's Peyton Drive between Chino Avenue and the 71 freeway. That's the road that goes along, where is it? Starts at Lowe's and Costco, and then down to Bevmo and down to the freeway. Our wonderful Boys Republic teacher, Kristen Woods, is spearheading the effort for us. And teachers can go down any day, anytime, and lend a hand. But on the first Friday of the month, that's tomorrow, we're all going to get together after school and make it a group effort. So I wanted to get the word out that if you're driving down the road and you see your kid's teacher picking up trash off the sidewalk, they're not being punished. They're being good neighbors. That's all I've got.
Great, thank you. I'm sorry. Oh, did you? Oh, and I just lost my page. No, actually, it's yes, Yvette Farley. Yes, Yvette Farley with Champ. Yeah, we're rotating. We're rotating. I'm doing it, everybody.
Good evening. I would like to begin by acknowledging and praying for all those who were affected by the horrific tragedy in Las Vegas. Many employees of Chino Valley Unified School District had to experience the fear that someone they know had their life in danger and the unthinkable was a possibility. I spent Sunday night wondering if my cousin was okay. I did not receive an answer until Monday morning that she had been shot in the leg, my cousin's daughter had been shot in the arm, and their friend was shot in the face. I quickly shared the news with my family, and prayer warriors went into action. I'm happy to say that they are physically fine today. Emotionally, another story. I received a phone call from my daughter who said, "I just want to gather my family and leave." I did not want to raise my 7-month-old in such a cruel world. I, as her mother, had no answers for her. Later that night, she posted, "I've been thinking all day about all the craziness going on in the world, and all I can think to do is contribute good to the world. And that is to raise my daughter right and well. Through it all, I will not let the world take away her happiness. She will be fearless and do great things." Of course, tonight, my plans were to stand before you and recognize our Chino Valley Unified School District administrators in honor of the Week of the Administrator next week. And I thought about what my daughter had posted. I then began to think about our role and our purpose in education. How do we contribute good to the world? In Damon Lopez's book, No Excuse Leadership, he wrote, "In 1914, Sir Ernest Shackleton led the very first journey to Antarctica. Whether truth, myth, or urban legend, it had been reported that he posted an ad that read, 'Men wanted for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, but honor and recognition in case of success. In the end, 28 men did respond and commit to the trip. Why? They were all willing to take such a risk because they believed in the cause, as well as the long-term reward that awaited, not just for themselves, but for the greater good of the world. Some would say that being an educational leader is an adventure. It may have its ups and downs as you travel through the educational road trip, but a final destination is almost certain. But tonight, I would like to point out that whether you are a teacher, an administrator, a counselor, or a parent, we are on a journey. For you see, average people do not take journeys. Exceptional leaders are people who are willing to make bold choices. Bold choices that have the potential to change the lives of our students in the face of this horrific tragedy. And this is how we contribute good to the world. I say yes. So, to my Chino Valley Unified School District administrators, I thank you for being servant leaders whose presence make those around them better. I thank you for being prepared to go all in. And lastly, I encourage you that even after this tragedy, to continue to make bold choices needed in education so that our students and our future students can dream about successes that we may never see. So, thank you.
Thank you. Denise Arroyo, CSEA.
Good evening. I cannot believe the students from Country Springs, how articulate they were and how comfortable they were. I'm going, oh my gosh, they're going to be running for CSA president pretty soon. Anyway, good evening. I too want to address the horrendous act of violence which took place in Las Vegas. That night, for some strange reason, I woke up at 2:30 in the morning and I turned on the TV because I couldn't sleep, and to my dismay was witnessing the aftermath of such terror. There is so much hate in our society these days. I have personally had reasons to be upset and angry in my life, but I never at no point would get violent. I was hoping I would not know of anyone who was there, but unfortunate, I know a lot of people that were there. Many have had people in their lives killed. They were shot. It was horrible. And some of those employees work here at our district as well. I just pray that everything goes well for the families, but we also need to thank those that were heroes during that time as well. So I just wanted to touch base on that. Several years ago, the district provided active shooter training for administrators and several other personnel. My question is, are we still providing this training to the school sites and through the district here as well? That's my question. And who's providing that training? Is the police department still doing it? Just want to know. Today I was invited by Mr. Felix Melendez, principal at Chino High, to attend professional development for the special education instructional aides. And the meeting was about how to use the IEP at a glance as a tool to support students. The training was provided by Assistant Principal Sally Jarvis, and I hope I pronounced this right, Lube or Lube? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. The assistant principal shared the purpose of the IEP: disability eligibility statements, accommodation goals, tracking IEP goals, progress monitoring. When instructional aides are placed in classrooms, they oftentimes don't really know what the needs are to work with those students. And just by glancing, they don't get to physically have the IEP, but they can look at and see where the needs are. So when they are working with that student, whether it's one-on-one or in a group setting, they know what they need to focus on. What a great idea. Because a lot of times, you know, you have aides going there and they're just working with the kids to try to make it through the day. But here they're focusing on what their needs are to help them make a better student and help them succeed. So I thought it was a great idea, very good idea. At the last school board meeting, I did ask if the district would be supporting our instructional aides to attend the paraeducator conference again this year, and Dr. Infield graciously said yes. So once I receive more information from CSEA and the application, I will coordinate with his secretary and get the ball rolling. Again, I would love to see some of the board members or cabinet members attend to see what it's February 20th to the 22nd, I believe, at the Ontario Convention Center. But it's a great experience. We had negotiations, and our next negotiations date is October 16th and November 1st. We are working on scheduling more dates. However, when you have more than 5 people, it's hard to schedule any dates, so we're getting there. But wouldn't it be a great Christmas gift, Mr. Joseph? That we could do this like by Christmas and say, Merry Christmas, everybody. We got a tentative agreement. Oh, come on, you're laughing. Anyway, I just thought I'd say that. I do want to acknowledge Week of the Administrator. You guys have a lot on your plate. That's all I got to say, and we do appreciate what you do for all of the staff and the employees here in the district. You may not think you're not appreciated, but you are, and as well as the board. In closing, I do want to end with a little humor. I saw something today, and it said, it doesn't matter what you think of me, because my imaginary friends think I'm special. Thank you.
I love it. Mr. Joseph, if you could please comment to the active shooter training and question that Ms. Arroyo had.
Sure. Ms. Arroyo, a couple years ago, through the Chino Police Department and the Sheriff's Department, we offered Run, Hide, and Fight to all 35 of our schools and their employees. And then last year, there was an updated in-service called Alice, where they were actually simulated drills with active shooting. So we're on top of it, and no, we haven't had it here at the district yet. We've had it at the school sites, but you know, we'll talk about that. Okay.
But there is continued conversation. As a matter of fact, just recently, there was a conversation going on. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are now at Community Liaisons communication. Paul Rodriguez, Chino Council, I don't think I see him. Mike Krieger, Fire Board, I don't see him. I see Melissa from Supervisor Hagman's office.
Well, good evening, President Orozco and school board members, Superintendent Joseph. Supervisor Hagman asked me to come out tonight to invite you and all constituents of the 4th District to an event he has coming up. And this is going to be his Coffee with Kurt event. And his special guest will be Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Chino, Tom Howie. This next meeting will be at the Chino Police Department in their community training room, and that will take place Saturday, October the 21st, and it's nice and early to get a start in your day, 8 a.m. to 9:30. I know it's a busy Saturday in town, so we want to make sure that we can just get right in there before the rest. And I've left some invitations for you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, so we are now at comments from the audience on items not on the agenda. Pat, are there any requests to speak on non-agenda items? Okay. So, and this will go for the hearing as well, this little this little tidbit that we're about to say. Speakers will be called in the order the request was received. Please listen to for your name and be prepared to approach the podium. Any comments on agenda items will be accepted during consideration of that item. Once the board has commenced deliberations on an issue, speaker cards will not be accepted. The board is very interested in your comments, but please bear in mind that the board typically does not respond to comments during this time on the agenda, as it is reserved specifically for public comments. Individual members may respond during board comments at the end. Mr. Na, will you please explain the light system?
Speakers, you have 3 minutes to make your comments. Please begin your comments at the green light. The yellow light indicates you have 30 seconds, and red light indicates your time is over. And before you begin your comments, please adjust the microphone so that you can be clearly heard. And audience members, please refrain from making comments while speakers are at the podium, as it is disrespectful and disruptive.
Speakers, please remember that in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323, bylaws of the board meeting conduct, limit remarks to 3 minutes total for all remarks. If a topic has been covered, please limit remarks to new points. The board would like to remind you that there is an existing board policy, 1312.1, for anyone who wishes to file a complaint against a district employee. Please follow that procedure. And no speaker shall exceed the 3-minute limit. The first and only speaker is Peter Patel.
Good evening, President Orozco, board members, and the wonderful parents, Chino Valley Unified School District. Earlier on, we had a young lady speak about this journey that we all have to undertake, and therefore I am here to invite everybody on this great journey. It's a free journey to India. Who would like to join me? Seriously, it is a free journey to India. The BAPS Hindu temple, as everybody has seen, that beautiful sand castle that sits off the 71 freeway there, we celebrate every year an event called Diwali. Diwali is a Hindu festival that celebrates the end of our calendar year and as a celebration of good over evil, darkness over light. And therefore, on October the 18th is when the actual event starts, but 18th, 19th is a ceremonial event that happen at the temple, 19th being Diwali. But if everyone could make a note that this is an invitation to everybody for Friday, October the 20th. We have a grand display inside the main temple of over 1,000 vegetarian dishes on display. These dishes are offered to the images of God, and then later on they are taken down and given to the people as it is blessed food, and it blesses everyone accordingly. It is an absolutely amazing event that you do not want to miss. You don't need a visa to go inside. It's free. There's no entry fee, nothing. But please join us. And the very next day, Saturday, there is a amazing children's carnival for everyone to enjoy, as well as another celebration inside the temple. But to add to that, if you cannot make it during the day, it starts, by the way, at 1 p.m. and concludes at around 6 p.m., the actual display. And then when dusk comes about, the entire temple will be lit up in all different ornate lights with sound and music. The fountains will be dancing, and every 15 minutes we'll have a musical show going on. So we encourage all the parents in this great district of ours to join us at the BAPS Hindu Temple at 15100 Fairfield Ranch Road in Chino Hills. And I look forward to seeing, and I'm going to put you on the spot now, Mr. James Na, Andrew Cruz, Sylvia Orozco, Wayne Joseph, Pamela Felix, Irene Hernandez Blair, and I'll be taking roll call. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so we are now at changes and deletions. Pat, are there any changes or deletions?
The following changes are on the agenda. CIIS item 3C1, school-sponsored trips, page 33, under Don Lugo High School, add boys water polo tournament, San Diego Open, San Diego, California, 12 students, 3 chaperones, October 19th to the 21st, $100 per student, funding source parents, and fundraising. Facilities, Planning and Operations, item 3D2, Agreements for Contractor Consultant Services, page 44, under Contract F-1718-008, Placeworks, strike the words "the reconstruction of Chino High School" and replace with "projects at various sites." And Human Resources, item 3E1, Certificated Classified Personnel, page 69, under Placed on 39-month reemployment list, delete the name Craig West, and on page 70, under Retirement, add the name Craig West, 32 years of service, Maintenance 3 Plumber, Maintenance, effective September 22nd, 2017.
Thank you. We are now at the action items. Would you please announce the first item?
Item 2A1, public hearing regarding Oxford Preparatory Academy Rise Charter School petition.
I now open the public hearing. I'm sorry, that is to recommend the Board of Education conduct a public hearing regarding the Oxford Preparatory Academy Rise Charter School petition. I now open the public hearing regarding Oxford Preparatory Academy Rise Charter School petition at 7:41. Speakers, Pat.
Okay, just if you could give me a second.
Okay.
Get that spot. We have 22 for this item.
22 speakers. Okay. Would you please announce?
Marianne Gonzalez, followed by Kamoza Kabandama, followed by Michaela Estrella.
Good afternoon. My name is Mariana Gonzalez. I'm 9 years old. I'm a former OPA student. This year, when my school was closed, my mom and I found ourselves last minute trying to find space in a school that was similar to OPA. I currently go to Ontario Christian, but still find myself praying and hoping OPA will open again in our community. The chances of a charter school opening again in our community is in your hands. So I'm asking you, please give us a chance. I know we could be a top performing school again in the county, so vote yes and let OPA rise again. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Kamoza Kabandama, followed by Michaela Estrella, followed by Nala Brown.
Announce again. Announce again.
Kamoza Kabandama, followed by Michaela Estrella, followed by Nala Brown.
Hello. All I'm asking is that you give us another opportunity and that you please listen to us this time. Thank you.
Michaela Estrella, followed by Nala Brown, followed by Garrett Bridges.
Hello, good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Joseph. My name is Michaela Estrella, and today I am here on behalf of my younger brother Ricky, who is in the 5th grade, and my younger sister Addison, who is in the 2nd grade. Me being in the 8th grade, this transition wasn't easy, but it also wasn't hard. My brother, sister, and their friends, on the other hand, it wasn't easy at all for them. My brother's friend Nolan, on the other hand, had difficulties transitioning into roads with bullying, kids taking his lunch, along with the side of mean teachers. I am here on behalf of a school where teachers are prepared for parent-teacher conferences and school nurses have a plan in place when a student is having breathing problems, and where teachers take their time during lessons, where students aren't told they are privileged children because of what school they used to go to. What I am here for is to speak for other kids who should have the same experience I did at OPA. For example, all teacher participation, International Day, use of Chromebooks in and outside of classrooms to bring us closer to the 21st century, and constant open communication between parents and teachers. The part that I miss about OPA or my school, is family, friendships, and teamwork, along with encouragement that we had every single day when we walk through our gates that I sometimes get at my new school. Thank you for listening and giving Oprah Rise the opportunity it deserves. Thank you.
Nala Brown, followed by Garrett Bridges, followed by Deanna Campana.
Hi, my name is Nala Brown, and I'm 7 years old.
Pull it down.
There you go. Okay. Hi, my name is Nala Brown, and I'm 7 years old. I want Oprah to stay open because at my new school, they don't have Taekwondo, they don't have science lab, and when I go to music class, they don't even have pianos or keyboards for everyone. And now my mom has to work full-time to pay for my new school. And I don't really see her that much because she's working. So that's why I think Oprah should stay open, so I can spend more time with my mom and dad.
Thank you.
Garrett Bridges, followed by Deanna Campana, followed by Peter Patel.
Good evening, President Orozco, Board, and Superintendent Joseph. I am Garrett Bridges, and I am a former teacher and administrator for Oxford Preparatory Academy Chino. I'm also a resident of Chino and one of the lead petitioners for the Oxford Rise position. I am standing in front of you tonight because I believe in school choice, I believe in the lead petitioners for this charter, and I believe in the Oxford Rise petition. During my career, I have had the opportunity to work in both traditional public schools as well as public charter schools. And for the past 6 years, I have had the privilege to work as a teacher and administrator at Oxford Preparatory Academy. At the school, the students have excelled, parents and staff have become families, and I have looked forward every morning because I was able to greet and give high fives to all the students and parents. I really miss those high five kiddos. During the past 6 years with this educational program, I have witnessed special education students meet goals that they were told once that they would never meet, and students surpass their academic expectations. This was because of our full inclusion special education program, our implementation of the theory of multiple intelligences, and working together with the parents to create a team. Our students also have the opportunity to participate in extracurricular activities such as music, band, PE, world language, science lab, taekwondo, after-school sports, and the list will go on. But I only have 3 minutes. Oxford Rise is a tuition-free public charter school that will bring school choice back to the families of Chino Valley Unified. I ask that you review the petition objectively, without influence, and make a decision based on your own beliefs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deanna Campana, followed by Peter Patel, followed by Adam Cullen.
Deanna Campana rhymes with lasagna. Feels like deja vu. I'm actually going to spare you my speech today. I'm going to be reading Cindy Valenta's speech. Her son is very sick, and she's unable to make it, and her words are very important for you to hear. My name is Cindy Valenta, and I'm a former teacher and vice principal at OPA. I do not live in Chino, but the city of Chino became my family's second home. My 13-year-old son was an OPA champion for 7 years and started his first year as a Rhodes Scholar. A year ago at this time, we were fighting for our school to stay open. My son was only one of 1,200 students we were fighting for. It consumed so much of our effort and tore at our hearts. I was one of the scheduled speakers up in Sacramento on May 11th. My speech was written, my boarding pass printed, but I never made it. I never was able to give my speech. Instead, on May 11th, literally minutes after the state vote, my son was diagnosed with cancer. Our world stopped. The fear and heartache were unimaginable. I went from fighting for our school to fighting for my son's life. I was shattered. But I wasn't in this alone. My OPA family was there for us. In fact, the Chino community was there for us. The Let It Be Foundation has embraced us into their family. Prior to working for OPA, I worked for the district for 7 years. Former students and their families reached out to us. Teachers I worked with but haven't really kept in touch with reached out to us. The community came together when we needed it the most and helped us. Because this is what people do when devastation hits. When people are hurting, when bad things happen, the Chino community does not turn away. They help. They help any way they can to make things better. I'm here today asking for you to help this community. Give them back their school choice. 1,200 students had it taken away from them last year. Don't turn their back on them. Their community stands together when bad things happen. Please help them. Tonight you have 2 petitions in front of you. Make the right decision and treat each one fairly. Come together, rise up, and give this community their school choice back. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Patel, followed by Adam Cullen.
Good evening, President Roscoe and members of the board and parents of OPA and the Chino Valley Unified School District. I happen to be a very, very proud parent of two beautiful daughters that currently attend Ayala High School. They graduated from Oxford Preparatory Academy some years back and are currently in AP honors classes, have grade A's across the board, are doing extremely well, thanks to the great staff at OPA, except for one young lady who has a D and F in maths, so I have a beef with the maths teacher at OPA, which I'll discuss with that person afterwards, I think. But they had received an absolutely tremendous education. And all kudos and honors do have to go to the teachers and staff members of that school. They have excelled throughout the years. You've seen that by the numbers, the state numbers. No one needs to repeat all those achievements that have happened at Oxford Preparatory. But you know, there was talk of administration. The true administration was on the ground. The true administration was on C Street. The true administration gave those children a great education through the teachers of OPA. And I hope you recognize that. In this new petition that Oxford has presented to you, what's new? Yellow. It's yellow. No, yellow is not custard. It's not cowardly. It is a beautiful, bright color because the children have a bright future. And that's what the children, the teachers of OPA and the administration is going to give to them. I had other words I'm going to say, but I want to leave you with some thoughts that I tend to share with many people on Facebook and social media, etc. And hopefully you review the application according to the motto that sits right behind you, which certainly says humility, civility, and service, which I truly hope that you review and offer to the parents and children of Oxford Preparatory. For every love, there is a heart somewhere to receive it. Show these OPA parents you care. You know, kindness isn't about the thanks you get. It's about the act itself. Tonight, the anxiety down the coming days will be greatly increased for us if, in addition to everything else, there was even the slightest risk of losing Oxford Preparatory Academy. Please remember, together we will rise. Thank you.
Adam Cullen, followed by Andrew Crow, followed by Albert Diaz. Adam Cullen. Andrew Crow.
I missed you guys, and you may not admit it, but I know you missed me too. Just gonna keep this quick. You know our program, you know our families, you know what we do. Just here to say that Chino needs a school of choice. Every community needs a school of choice. I'm passionate about this community because the people in this room and the people who call it home. I'm not bringing you this charter just to get the old OPA families in, although that would be nice. I'm bringing you this charter because I believe in school choice. I believe in an academic program that brings in extracurriculars during the school day. I believe in uniforms. I believe in a collegiate environment. Most importantly, I believe in parent engagement. I've worked in multiple traditional public and public charter schools in Philadelphia, Hawaii, San Diego, LA, and Chino. Nowhere have I seen the parent involvement that is as overwhelming, consistent, and tangible as at the previous OPA Chino Valley School. We can and will replicate. OPA CV may be gone, but these parents, staff, and myself will always be a family. We hope to expand our community to include new families, new friends, new lifelong friends. The Chino community is my home. You guys aren't getting rid of me, so I hope to hear from you soon with an improved charter. Thank you.
Thank you. Albert Diaz, followed by Sandra Garner, followed by Teresa Brown.
Good evening. What you have before you today with Oprah Rise is the same educational program that you yourselves have said is not in question. So let me get straight to addressing the elephant in the room. Almost 11 months ago, a horrific FCMAT report was released that shocked more than just the people in this room. However, with respect to anyone from the press who's in this room, there's one fact that continues to be misreported. An organization cannot commit fraud. People commit fraud. An organization cannot be guilty of misappropriating public funds. People do that. In the district attorney's open investigation, the Oxford organization was interviewed as a victim. These bad actors, which have been purged, structured the organization to facilitate their efforts. Fortunately, there was a roadmap to clean up the mess. The FCMAT report, the VLS audit, and you, our authorizers, gave us the roadmap to follow to ensure that this can never happen again. They fired their back office, let me just walk you through a few of them. They fired their back office provider to help hide their actions. Well, we hired Charter Impact, one of the best companies in the industry who now reports at every board meeting. They engaged in self-dealing and nepotism and was rampant. We have a tight vendor policy, an anti-nepotism policy, conflict of interest policy, credit card reimbursement policy, and a strict hiring policy, just to name a few. They spent money like it was going out of style. We have a strict check signing policy with low thresholds requiring multiple signatures and tight restrictions. They maintain layers of security with only a handful of people in the know. We have layers of checks and balances with many independent eyes closely monitoring everything. Those layers include Gilbert Associates, who conducts monthly reviews. A FCMAT recommended auditor, Christy White and Associates, who conducts monthly reviews. A finance committee, and now an audit committee, which will include board members, teachers, and parents. What was the other elephant? Unknown liabilities. It has now been 16 months since we fired the CMO, almost 10 months since the meeting at Chino Hills, and 5 months since we were all up in Sacramento. In all that time, no new liabilities have surfaced. Turner Agassi, who was at worst case scenario within our cash reserves to resolve, will soon be resolved. And our cash reserves are adequate to meet all outstanding contingent liabilities. This final item closes the books on the past. This organization is not the same one this board said could not deliver a sound educational program. Please vote yes to allow Oxford to rise.
Thank you.
Sandra Garner, followed by Teresa Brown, followed by John Shipes.
Good evening. This has been a difficult year, but OPA has come through it better and stronger. Someone very wise once told me, sometimes you can see further through a tear than a telescope. Through our tears, we saw the organization we had sadly become, but we also saw the one we could be, one where our operations and governance match the excellence of what we see in the classrooms every single day. Unlike the school before it, RISE will be a neighborhood school with a free and reduced lunch program where all stakeholders will have a voice in how the school is run. Education is the great equalizer. When we empower teachers and principals and give them freedom and flexibility to deliver real change in students' lives, our schools can and do fulfill their fundamental promise to be gateways to opportunity. This is the core belief that drives school choice. When our doors closed, this belief didn't go away. Instead, it hardened our resolve to return even stronger. RISE is not the place where dreams come to die, but a place where dreams for our children take flight. We rise so others may see they too can rise. This is not the end, this is the beginning. With your help, the tragedy of the past year can become a blessing for 1,200 families. Tonight is a gift, a second chance to get this right. You asked us to submit a petition, a new petition, which we have done. Now we are asking you to fulfill your promise and approve it. The sea of yellow behind you and all the way down that hall is a visual reminder that this community supports school choice. Parents should be able to choose the best educational option for their children because they know best what their children need. You are fortunate to have 3 charter petitioners who want to open a charter school in CVUSD. And you know what? I'm rooting for all 3. You see, school choice is not a competition. This district is large enough for more than 1 charter school. Parents deserve more options, not less. At the same time, I hope you understand no charter can be a substitute for RISE. There is a reason our schools continue to be the top performing school in their districts. Our educational plan and mission are unique to RISE. We are tested with a proven track record. Our educational program is the one that you have praised over and over again. Hundreds of families want to bring their children home, but they need your yes to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa Brown, followed by John Shipes, followed by Cynthia Calvert.
Hello, my name is Teresa Brown, and I'm a former parent from Oxford Prep. Right now, I currently pay $1,500 a month just for my girls to receive the same level of education that Oxford offered. I work full-time. I don't see my kids that much anymore. You know, I'm not wealthy. I'm poor. You know, I'm not rolling in dough. So for me to spend that much time away from my kids and to pay that amount of money just to receive the same level of education, it really puts a strain on our family. So what I'm asking you today is I simply want the best for my kids. I'm wearing yellow tonight because it represents school choice, and I just truly believe that Oxford is our only choice right now. I wish I can get on my knees and beg, but I mean, I just, with all of my heart, this school is family. Walking in that hall, seeing everyone, I haven't seen them in months, it's family. It brings me to tears knowing that I can't see them every day. Can you imagine not seeing your family every day? Can you imagine not being with your kid every day? This is what I have to go through right now. So I'm just asking you, please, to have, you know, to open your heart up and just renew this petition, please. We're begging you. I mean, we're not all here now, but we're just hoping for the best. So thank you so much.
Thank you. John Shipes, followed by Cynthia Calvert, followed by Reina Coronado. John Shipes. Cynthia Calvert.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Calvert, and I had been an OPA teacher the last 4 years. Somehow I landed my dream job right off the bat. I always knew I was born to be a teacher, but now that I've been forced to leave OPA, I'm realizing that I was actually born to be an OPA teacher. I'm lucky to have found a job in another great district, but every day I'm homesick for the place that made me the teacher I am today. The need for school choice is more obvious to me now more than ever for 3 major reasons: our multiple intelligence, or MI model, the development of our well-rounded students, and our school culture. Many schools recognize the value of MI, but at OPA, everything we do revolved around it. Our mornings start with songs. Learning takes place outside the 4 walls of the classroom. Students are taught how they learn best and are given opportunities to build on those strengths, and differences are valued. When I speak with friends, family, and colleagues about this, I start to learn that this is uniquely OPA. At most schools, there is not music at recess, kids aren't singing songs in class daily, and when you walk through the halls, you don't see classes outside drawing and labeling diagrams on the playground, or measuring shadows during a math lesson. When I take my class outside now, they act like it's Christmas, when at OPA, it was just another day. Not only did MI teaching help my students be better learners, but it also made me a better teacher. Using them on a daily basis changes the way I teach, because you don't think that some kids just might not get it. You start to think about how they can figure it out. Another reason we need more schools like OPA is that not only were our students impressive academically, but they were learning to be well-rounded individuals. I never quite understood how I'd hear from teachers that there was no time for art or music or science, but now that I'm in their position, I see that being told how many minutes to teach certain subjects and the order to teach topics and for how long can all make it very difficult to do anything else. At OPA, we were given the freedom to teach the standards when and how we knew our students needed. In addition to the rigorous academics, all of our students, TK through 8th grade, were able to be scientists in our lab, musicians in our music class, athletes in PE, artists in monthly lessons taught by parents, and they learned discipline in Taekwondo and even got to learn a second language. On top of all that, our students even learned to be respectful to others, confident speakers, great leaders, and responsibility for their actions and choices. Our champions met and even exceeded all of these expectations. Finally, our school culture cannot be matched. Before the first day of school, all members of the OPA team laid the groundwork for the year, which helped us to push each other to be better, but more importantly, showed each student the importance of accountability, teamwork, and integrity. From day one, we showed each student what it meant to be a champion, not just a good student, and part of a community. The dedication our administration, staff, and families gives to our kids really makes them our kids, all of ours, no matter who was in your class. They were our champions. Please keep that in mind when, like myself, many found OPA to be exactly where they belong. We'd all be grateful for the opportunity to choose OPA as our school once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reina Coronado, Shaheen Adamji, followed by Steve Holdeman.
Good evening. My name is Reina Coronado, and you've heard countless stories and testimonies over the past year and even tonight about how beneficial Oxford Prep was to so many children in the community. And I can stand here and tell you the impact OPA had on my 3 boys, but I actually wrote that in some emails that date back to 2016, so you guys can go back to your emails and read them if you want. But when OPA closed its doors in June, my husband and I had the option of taking our boys out of Chino Unified and enrolling them in another school district or even another charter school, but we didn't. We didn't because we believe in school choice and we believe that it belongs in this community. As elected officials, you are our representatives. We voted for you so that you could be our voice. It is evident that our community not only needs school choice, but demands it as well. I ask that you please listen to your constituents and give this community school choice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shaheen Adamji, followed by Steve Holdeman, followed by Autumn Gooden.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education. My name is Shaheen Adamji, and I have 2 sons who are currently attending Canyon Hills Junior High after receiving an exceptional elementary school education at Oxford Preparatory Academy, Chino Valley. When our family chose to move to Chino Hills in 2000, we did not realize that we would also have the privilege of school choice. Our boys completed their whole elementary school education at a school of our choice. The experience we had at the school was the best thing that ever happened to our family. Our school of choice worked well for us, and the high academic standards were an important factor for our family. In addition, debate club, Odyssey of the Mind, choir, archery, International Day were just some of the numerous activities our boys participated in to give them a well-rounded education. On numerous occasions, both in the US and outside, people have asked us where our boys have gone to school. Their confidence and outgoing personalities were cultivated at our school of choice and did not go unnoticed. It takes a village to raise and educate a child, and that's exactly what OPA Rise will achieve for our children. Hardworking and friendly administrative staff, dedicated and caring teachers, enthusiastic, committed parents, and most important, eager and happy students are the foundation of a true institution of knowledge. An excellent combination like the above will also help OPA Rise achieve the highest CASP scores in the county. My own 2 sons have had perfect scores on multiple occasions on these tests. Make good choices is the motto of OPA. I urge you, the Chino Valley Unified School District members, to approve this K-8 charter for OPA Rise so that future generations of this district have the chance to exercise school choice. Help us form a community that works together for a school that has children who actually love coming in every morning. Children who are not burdened with hours of homework at the end of the day. A school that it makes it okay for a child to laugh, to play, and even give a middle school child the pleasure of having fun on a play structure. Let's not force our children to become adults before they're ready. Give our children the choice to any school where they can excel. Give our parents the choice to send their children to any school where they can thrive the best. Give OPA Rise the choice, a chance to be a part of our district. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, the future depends on you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Holdman, followed by Autumn Gooden, followed by Marlene Lyle.
Good evening. Tonight I'd like to discuss one of the many facets of Oxford that drew my wife and I to it. That facet is the belief and implementation of Dr. Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences at Harvard University in 1983. These are especially important to the developing brain of children and are quickly linguistic intelligence, logistical, mathematical intelligence, spatial intelligence, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, music intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, and naturalist intelligence. Our culture and education focuses on linguistic and logical mathematical intelligence. In fact, we hold them in the highest esteem according to Dr. Armstrong. But what happens to other folks whose brain embraces different intelligence? As adults, if they're lucky, they stumble into their preferred intelligence, such as a music-smart person might become a violinist, a body-smart person becomes a prima ballerina. On the other hand, without the understanding of these various intelligences, a body-smart person could be chained to a desk job, or a self-smart person dying as a third-rate salesperson. Many children who have these gifts don't receive much reinforcement for them in school. In fact, they end up being labeled learning disabled or ADD or simply underachievers when their unique ways of thinking and learning aren't addressed by a heavily biased linguistic or logical mathematical classroom. Alyssa was tested at the beginning of every year to find her dominant intelligence, since as a child evolves, so do their intelligences. The results are posted and heavily discussed so children can see the similarities, but also understand the differences in others, thus building tolerance into the curriculum. In fact, to seek out those differences in projects to include more and different ideas. Case in point, Alyssa was having trouble memorizing a passage which seemed impossible. Because of her MI testing, the teacher suggested singing the passage. This was a huge success. Alyssa got up in front of the class, also a first, and sang the passage. She scored an A. This event could never have happened where the MI system was denigrated. Twice a year, Oxford would celebrate multi-intelligence by having a week where special classes are taught that address the various MIs. Alyssa generally wants an art class and something physical. Alyssa loves those weeks and is focused since they appeal to her specific intelligences. In physical, a teacher suggested we bounce a ball while doing spelling to speak to her specific MI. Instant A's. Artistic, Alyssa submitted a work of art that won the art show at the school, went on to win first place at the Pomona County Fair in LA in her grade. Neither of these events could have happened without a positive use of MIs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Autumn Goodwin, followed by Marlene Lyle, followed by Stacy Lazo.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. First, I just wanted to start off by just saying how my daughter Emma here, she was very brokenhearted about losing her school, and it was difficult to explain to her why it had to happen. And that's something I feel a child should not have to go through. She's still getting over it. She's feeling a little better, but right now I'm having to homeschool her through the Oxford Prep in Mission Viejo so that she can have some familiarity of the school that she really loved. But this is really not a substitute for the friends and the teachers that she's lost. So we're all here tonight asking you to please approve Oxford Rise. We need more choices in which our children can have a well-rounded education and more opportunities afforded to them. If you approve this school, you'll be helping so many kids get back the school that they were once thriving in, so happy in. You can bring some positivity to the community. Oxford was good for the community and had a positive influence on it. It's good for the neighborhood, it's good for the children and the teachers and the parents, and it's good for you too. And in this time of turmoil, please approve this and help shed some light in our little corner of Chino. I mean, how can you say no to that? Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Marlene Lyle, followed by Stacy Lazo, followed by Mona Hermosillo.
Good evening. This is my daughter, Delina Lyle, and I didn't prepare anything to read because I just want to speak from my heart. And I've been talking to God a lot since this whole thing began, wondering how we got to this place. And really, I don't have as much to say as I do with so many questions. So many, many questions. I don't understand how our school could have been approved by this wonderful school district, and yet our name never made it to these beautiful plaques that are behind you. I don't understand. I have a great respect for the fact that your job is to uphold a system, but I don't understand how we can come to some kind of team spirit, because my job is to give my daughter the best education that I could give her. I don't understand why this district and so many factors, that exist, fight so hard against just having a great school. I don't understand that. I don't understand why Sue Roach did what she did. How can you create this fantastic school and then do what you did? There's so many questions that I have, and I know we all have those questions. But the one answer I do have to one question is, why are all of us here? And this isn't even all of us, as you know. Why are we here wearing yellow? Because ultimately we stand for school choice, because we love our children, because we believe in the education that they were given, because we know for a fact that it is possible for people to come together and create a solution when they care enough to do it for children. We are all adults, and we are able to come together and bring a solution that works for all of us. We can do this, and that's what I prayed to God about. And so that's what I have to say tonight. I just ask, of course I ask, that you support, find some way for you to find a way for us all to dialogue together and let Oprah rise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy Lazo, followed by Mona Hermosillo, followed by the final speaker, Marla Martindale.
Good evening. I'm speaking to you tonight as a teacher and as a mother that has relied on school choice to try to provide opportunities for my family. After starting my family, my husband and I bought a modest house in a modest neighborhood. And like so many lower socioeconomic neighborhoods, our neighborhood school was chronically underperforming. After years of struggling, I decided my kids needed something different to try to break the cycle of poverty that my family had lived in for generations. Eventually, we ended up at OPA and found those opportunities we were looking for. And we were happy there. My kids loved going to school there, and I loved teaching there. My kids are in new schools, and I was fortunate enough to find another teaching job in a good district with a great teaching staff. But every morning on the way to work, I'm on the verge of tears. Why? It's not because the schools I worked at are so different, or the teaching staff is so different, or the families I serviced are so different. It's because, for me, this process has taught me that it's all about money. And I realized I'm disillusioned with the educational system because at the end of the day, it seems to be all about money. School choice is okay if you have low enrollment and you need to up your numbers, that's fine, but not if you need families like me that need a place to call home. I try to fill my head with all those lofty ideals that convinced me to become a teacher in the first place, but ultimately, I understand at the end of the day, it's about money. It fills my heart with such sadness every day. Now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. Standing in the other room tonight watching the speakers, the front of the podium says attendance counts. It doesn't say achievement counts. Because why? It's about money. I do what I can, and I'm there for my students every day, and I show up and I do the best job possible. As educators, we know we can't have a one-size-fits-all education for our students in our classrooms. If we treat every student the same, we will leave students unfulfilled and struggling in our class. There shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all approach to our schools either. Please bring back school choice to this community and provide our students with that with those choices once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mona Hermosillo, followed by the final speaker, Marla Martindale.
Good evening, Mrs. Orozco, President Orozco, Superintendent Joseph, and board members. Well, I had notes, and after hearing all these stories this evening, I don't think I want to read my notes. I think I just want to speak from the heart. This is my son, Max Anthony. This is our beautiful son. He attends a public school in Chino. We've been through a trying year this year, and I know, like all the rest of the families here, we missed OPA. Do you know what it was like tonight for me to walk up that walkway, to see all the smiling faces, to see my family is here. When I take my son to his new school every morning, I don't get a smile. He doesn't get a hello. There's a crosswalk in the parking lot that the parents block, and they'd rather block it or they don't stop. They're in such a hurry. There is not a presence of a principal, a vice principal, or a teacher. And this is Briggs Elementary School. I don't understand. When we would enter OPA, smiling faces everywhere. I also noticed, I'll save this for last, but like I say, there's no organization. My son is doing spelling words that he did in 2nd and 3rd grade. He is now in 4th grade. Have you ever had a teacher send home a test with on the back, air? You didn't put air. So wrong! Exclamation point. Is that correct? Is that right? Is that what we teach our teachers here in Chino Valley? That's wrong. I'm sorry. Very wrong. And it angers me. How do you think it makes him feel? Every night, this boy, young man, grinds his teeth horrifyingly at night. And it hurts my heart every single night. We are now looking into the charter school in Rancho Cucamonga because we want him out of this district. I pray to God that you will please soften your hearts. It's not our children's fault what this woman did or this beast did to our children. I pray that you will please open your heart and open back OPA Rise. And if I could please get smiles from you guys. Because it seems like when the other schools are here, everybody's smiling, but when our kids come up, I don't see smiles.
I'm sorry, your time's up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Marla Martindale.
I can't believe I'm the last speaker. I'm not even wearing yellow. Superintendent and members of the board, thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of 2 charter school petitions tonight that will benefit the Chino Hills community and the surrounding communities. As a parent of 3 children who were happy and successful in more than one charter school, I can attest that Oxford Rise and Sycamore can both provide innovative choices for students that would benefit the community greatly. Here are some reasons why these choices are needed. Parents deserve actual public school choices, and charter schools are public school options. Currently, Chino Hills has no charter schools. All students deserve options because the traditional system doesn't work for all students. Research has proven that traditional public schools benefit from the competition charter schools provide. More importantly, students and parents benefit. And
this room was filled tonight is a testament to the fact that these kids and families need a great school. I urge you to use your money wisely, and instead of using it to find ways to deny charter schools, you should be developing groundbreaking programs for your families. Charters can be a valuable part of your innovative educational community if you let them be. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I now close the public hearing at 8:25 p.m. Next item, please.
Item 2A2, public hearing regarding Sycamore Preparatory Academy Charter School petition.
And that is to recommend the Board of Education conduct a public hearing regarding the Sycamore Preparatory Academy Charter School petition. I now open the public hearing regarding the Sycamore Preparatory Academy Charter School petition at 8:26. Do we have speakers?
We have 5 speakers. The first speaker is Fatima Christerna Adame, followed by Barbara Hale, followed by Roy Kim. Fatima Christerna Adame.
Good evening, Ward. My name is Fatima Christerna Adame, and I am the Managing Regional Director for Southern California for the California Charter Schools Association. I represent the association in recommending the approval for Sycamore Preparatory Academy as a Chino Valley Unified Authorized School. The California Charter Schools Association is the membership and professional organization serving the vast majority of the over 1,200 public charter schools in the state of California. Our mission is to increase student achievement by strengthening and expanding access to high-quality public charter school education. We believe that Sycamore Academy of Science and Cultural Arts is doing just that for students throughout the city of Wildomar and surrounding area, and can do the same for students in the Chino area through their proposed second school, Sycamore Preparatory Academy. The vision of Sycamore Preparatory Academy is to establish a learning community that promotes the pursuit of wisdom through the use of constructivism theory of learning. Students from transitional kinder to 8th grade are inspired to pursue university-level academic studies as well as to gain skills to be successful in the 21st century global community. Students will exceed expectations and become critical thinkers as they're engaged with dynamic instructional practices that inspire them to be motivated, independent, competent, and lifelong learners. The association has worked with the current Sycamore Academy of Science and Cultural Arts over the last 8 years and know that they are providing small classroom-based science and arts programs for their TK 8th grade students. The school has seen a steady increase in enrollment and has over 600 students, making them financially stable and able to replicate their program. We know that they are providing a unique and quality program for students throughout their community. Now they are seeking to provide the same high-quality programming in the Chino area through the new Sycamore Preparatory Academy. The Charter School Act expressly states that a charter authority shall be guided by the intent of the legislature that charter schools are and become an integral part of California educational system, and that establishment of charter schools should be encouraged, Ed Code 47605B. It is the legislative intent that the petition for establishment of a charter school be approved by the chartering authority so long as the petition meets all legal requirements for establishment of a charter school enumbered by the Act. After our review of the petition, we believe that Sycamore Preparatory Academy petition fits that criteria and is both legally compliant and a program wanted by this community, as evident from the numerous intent to enroll forms signed by families. CCSA understands the intricacies of being an authorizer and the challenges that come with the responsibility and urges Chino Valley Unified Board to approve the new petition for Sycamore Preparatory Academy and allow the school to operate as an authorized charter school of the district. Should you have any further questions, I will leave my contact information in this letter, which I will email right after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara Hale, followed by Roy Kim, followed by Kyle Williams.
Hi, good evening. I'm Barbara Hale. I'm the Executive Director for Ronald Reagan Charter School Alliance and the lead petitioner for the Sycamore Preparatory Academy. Hi again. We are here tonight to provide a choice to the community that's been asking you for a choice. I think everybody very clearly stated that they want some other options outside of the district. I'm not going to say any disparaging things about the district. I am from this district. But I want you to understand that while I honor all the public schools, one size won't fit all. And the system that you have is not going to meet the needs of all your children. And we'd like to be the option. I think you should have several because you have lots of families that are asking for an option. But we'd like to be one of those options for your community. We've continued to collect signatures even after submission. I believe we were somewhere around 260 parent signatures that were submitted with our petition, and we've continued to collect those signatures since. And as long as up until the end of this month, we're going to continue to collect signatures so that when we submit our Prop 39 request to you, you'll see that there's still a growing sorry, I didn't write a speech because I really didn't think I was going to stand up here very long and talk. There's a growing demand and a growing interest in our program as we get the word out. I've only had one, maybe two communications with Mr. Joseph so far. So I haven't heard any questions, any comments, no request for a capacity hearing, no request to meet with any of our staff. We're all available, happy to talk about our program. Traditionally, there's a presentation during a public hearing. I can't get into our entire program in 3 minutes, but I'd be happy to meet with each of you independently, together, have another meeting if you want me to come and do a presentation. You want to meet with any of my staff that represents facilities, special ed, curriculum instruction, assessment. We're all very competent, and all of them can talk on their own with or without me. So I'm hoping that that there will be some kind of dialogue before you try and make a decision on just what you're reading in front of you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Roy Kim, followed by Kyle Williams, followed by the final speaker, Derek Dornan.
Good evening, board members. My name is Roy Kim. I'm the Chief Development Officer at Savanco Education. And I've been working with Barbara Hale in the back office management for Sycamore at Lake Elsinore, as well as the budget preparation for Sycamore Prep. Just wanted to give you a brief overview of the budget narratives that has been submitted with the petition. The budget has been based on an enrollment of 440 students, growing to 726 students with an attendance rate of 95% by year 5. The LCFF revenue has been calculated at $3.5 million, growing to $6.1 million by year 5. The other revenues that we've also accounted for are SPED funding from El Dorado SELPA, and also the mandate block grant and lottery. While the school is expecting to receive additional funding, such as the SB 740 and the title funds, we have not included to present to you a conservative budget. The school has also included startup grants such as a PCSGP, which is $375,000. The school has previously applied for that last year, and they have received a passing score on the application, but did not receive the funds because the charter was eventually denied. The additional startup funds was also included CD revolving loan of $250,000 and a line of credit of $250,000, which the school has secured last year as well. Without going into the details for the expenditures, I just want to highlight that the facilities has been budgeted at $2.25 per square foot, because that has been a big issue last year. So we've actually over budgeted for facilities. Given the information, we are expecting an average net income of about $800,000 per year, which results in ending fund balance of $4.4 million after the 5th year. And we also have included positive cash flows throughout the 5 years. So I just wanted to end with by saying that Barbara has always engaged in prudent fiscal management of Sycamore at Lake Elsinore, and we expect her to do the same and build strong reserves for Sycamore Preparatory Academy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kyle Williams, followed by Derek Dornan.
Good evening, board members. My name is Kyle Williams. My son attended OPA last year and is now a first grader at a district school. I am here to speak in favor of the approval of the Sycamore Preparatory Academy charter. The petitioners have gone to great lengths and have been incredibly generous with their time listening to input from the parents to ensure that the program they intend to offer meets the needs of the families in Chino Valley. It would have been the easiest thing in the world for them to simply submit a charter replicating their program in Wildemar, but the parents here wanted something slightly different, and they listened to that feedback and incorporated it into their petition. I'm deeply disappointed in this board that they have not provided the petitioners time to present details of their program and an opportunity for this board to ask questions of the petitioners. Instead, they have to submit comment cards and speak 3 minutes at a time. This is not a reasonable way to conduct a hearing. It's extremely unprofessional, and I would have hoped for better from this board. The things I've seen over the past year and a half from this board tell me it's probably too much to expect a fair and unbiased decision process for Sycamore. I hope you can prove me wrong. Maybe this time you can get a reputable accounting firm with experience in charter school accounting to review the financials instead of a guy that works out of his house in Laverne. Thank you.
Thank you.
Derek Dornan.
Hi, good evening, board members. My name is Derek Dornan. I have a son in the 2nd grade in the district, and I simply support the establishment of Sycamore Charter School. I think it's good to give options. It's good to have that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I now close the public hearing at 8:36. Let's take a break after. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'll wait a minute so that. All right. Would you please read the next item?
Item 2A3, Superintendent Search.
And that is to recommend the Board of Education either A, appoint the eternal candidate interviewed on October 3rd, contingent upon contract negotiations, or B, identify the next steps in the superintendent search process. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Na makes the motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cruz seconds. And Mr. Cruz, I see your light on first, and then Mr. Na, and then Mrs. Blair.
Okay. I appoint the internal candidate interviewed on October 3rd, 2017, contingent upon contract negotiations.
So you're recommending, is that your motion to?
Yes.
To do letter A. Okay, so board members, let's see. The motion was made. We would need a second. We need to, then after that, we would discuss, then vote either for or against, and then depending on where that goes, will lead us to what our next steps are. I just do want to remind board members, the discussion cannot go into anything that was discussed during closed session or the interview. Where's Leah? Leah, am I correct in that? Correct? Okay. All righty. So the motion, Mr. Cruz made the motion for item A, appoint the internal candidate interviewed on October 3rd, 2017, contingent upon contract negotiations. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Na makes the second. So now there would be discussion on this item. So let me turn off these lights again. Okay, now go ahead and turn on the lights if you want to speak. So Mrs. Blair, your light went on first?
Yes. And I cannot support moving forward with an appointment, not because I don't think that the candidate was appointable, but rather because there is a dark cloud over this whole process. I expressed that I felt rushed, even though dates were provided about when we received emails, when we received guidance, and I get all of that. But there are just too many employees of our district who have expressed intimidation regarding the process, who have expressed already knowing who was going to be appointed. So when I inquired about extending the application process for another week, I felt that it was appropriate to do so in order to clear the air, in order to ensure that there wasn't anything negative looming. I think it also makes for a better interview process when there's candidates, because it is best to be chosen when you've had some competition. And so I cannot support this. I felt that it was too much of an important process to have done in such a short period of time. I expressed that I felt that this to me was as important as the bond measure that we passed last year, and that took months of deciding, not just a few weeks. And so I cannot support the appointment tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz?
Yes, I will move forward. You know, having decided at our August meeting by a vote of 4-1 to look inside for the next superintendent, we did just that and interviewed our deputy, Superintendent Dr. Enfield, earlier this week. I reflected on his interview and considered his many years of experience working with our community and schools to make our district second to none. You know, it's with confidence that I give Dr. Enfield my full support. I trust that he has the ability and passion to continue the good work of our district, and it's going to continue on. And that's what I believe in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Any other comments? Okay, then I'll make my comments. So I just want to provide for the audience a timeline. On June 15th, Mr. Joseph announced his retirement. On June 29th, during the regular meeting, there was a discussion item regarding search options, and the direction was given to request proposals. On July 3rd, Ms. Kaler began soliciting proposals for scope of work and associated fees. On July 20th, at the regular board meeting, information item where proposals were given to the board. On August 17th, at a regular meeting, there was an action item discussed and selected conducting internal interviews, and I think Mr. Cruz indicated that it was a 4-1 decision. August 18th, an email to the board advising that HR would fly the position to in-house candidates Monday through Friday of the following week, with interviews at that time was on September 7th. We eventually changed that date. August 21st, there was an email to the board advising them to expect information regarding the interview instructions and questions. August 25th, there was an email to the board advising them that one application was received, and then indicating that the proposed September 7th closed session to review the application, select questions, with the idea of an interview at a special meeting on September 14th. On August 28th, there was an email to the board providing interview instructions and the bank of interview questions to be reviewed and discussed at the September 7th closed session meeting. That was later changed to September 14th special board meeting to select the interview questions. There was one board member that submitted their questions via email. September 27th was the interview that was rescheduled to October 3rd. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that the audience was aware of the timeline. So now, some of the considerations that I took into account when making my determination. We have a unique culture, a unique climate in our district, and I think it's really important that the person be familiar with our climate and our culture. I have been, let me get back to my notes. I have been a proponent of promoting from within. And I believe it sends an important message that we value and we believe in you. However, is it the reason to promote? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What is an important consideration is, do I believe that the applicant can carry out the duties of superintendent? My response is yes. Mr. Joseph, no disrespect to you, but not yet. Wait until I say what I've got to say. So, no disrespect to you, but I actually believe that Dr. Enfield has already been doing many of the duties of the superintendent. Mr. Joseph, it's no secret that I voted no for you for interim superintendent.
You like reminding
me. I voted yes for superintendent. But I hope that I can say and that you can agree that I was open-minded and I did give you a sincere chance to succeed, which after how many years? Almost 9 years, I think you did succeed. And so I just hope that whatever the outcome, if we do in fact appoint Dr. Enfield, that if there are any with reservations, that they are open-minded and sincerely give the opportunity to succeed. With that, are there any other comments? Mr. Cruz.
I just want to reiterate, I've been in education for, my STIRS, I checked it out 3 weeks ago, it's almost 18 years. And seeing all the professional people here, the whole entire school district, I have to say that Dr. Enfield, he's adequate for the job. He's going to do a great job. So, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so if you will bear with me. We will, our board members, do you want to do a roll call vote, or would you? I think a roll call vote is important. So with that, Mrs. Blair?
No.
Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fikes?
No.
Mr. Nah?
Aye.
And I vote yes. Motion A, or item A, appoint the internal candidate interviewed on October 3rd, 2017, contingent upon contract negotiations, passes with a vote of 3-2. Preferential? Aye. And if we can read the next item, please.
Item 2B1, public hearing regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials 2017-2018 and adoption of resolution 2017-2018-20.
And that is to recommend the Board of Education conduct a public hearing regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials 2017-2018 and adopt resolution 2017-2018-20. A lot of public hearings. I now open the public hearing regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials 2017/2018 at 8:48. Are there any speakers?
No speakers.
I now close the public hearing at 8:48. Now for the adoption of the resolution 2017/2018-20. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Nah, second by Mrs. Blair. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So we had an issue with sufficient materials at the beginning of this school year in elementary education, in particular with respect to English language arts. And so given that that's been addressed, then we are given a pass on this? I mean, is is the district looking at it as we have sufficient materials because we have sufficient materials now, even though we opened the year with insufficient materials?
That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Preferential? Motion passes 5-0.
I abstain.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry. So it's 4-0, one abstention. Next item, please.
Was that preferential, yes?
Yes, it was.
Item 2C1, compensation increase for Workforce, Innovation, and Opportunity Act students.
And that is to recommend the Board of Education approve a compensation increase for Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act students. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Na makes the motion, Mrs. Blair seconds. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Preferential? Aye. Motion passes. Did Mrs.
No.
Did you vote? I'm sorry.
Yes, I said yes.
Okay. 5-0. Okay. Can we take a quick break? Let's take a quick break. Consent items. Pat, are there any speakers on consent items? None. All righty. Board members, do you have any pulls? Mr. Cruz?
No pulls.
Mrs. Blair?
3C3, page 40.
Okay. The entire item or just?
I just want to read the proclamation. Did I write it down wrong?
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
Oh.
It was me.
I was like, oh gosh.
Mrs. Fikes?
3E1, page 64.
3E1, page 64. And I have, and I don't have my page number, it's 3E3, specifically item B, and that is page, give me a moment, page 72. Okay, for the remainder of the items, may I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Blair makes a motion, Ms. Fikes seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Preferential? Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Okay, for the first one, Mrs. Blair, 3C3, page 40. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Blair makes a motion. May I have a second?
So moved.
Miss-
Second.
Mrs. Fikes seconds. And Mrs. Blair.
And this is a proclamation for Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd through the 31st. Whereas alcohol and other drug abuse has reached epidemic stages in the United States. Whereas it is imperative that community members launch visible substance abuse prevention education efforts to reduce the demand for drugs. Whereas Californians for Drug-Free Youth Incorporated is coordinating the California Red Ribbon Campaign in cooperation with the National Red Ribbon Campaign to offer our citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free and alcohol abuse-free lifestyles. Whereas the Ribbon Week campaign will be celebrated in every community in America during Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd through the 31st of 2017. And whereas business, government, law enforcement, schools, religious institutions, service organizations, youth, senior citizens, military, sports teams, and individuals can demonstrate their commitment to drug-free and alcohol abuse-free healthy lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during this campaign. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Chino Valley Unified School District does hereby support October 23rd through the 31st as Red Ribbon Week and encourages its students and staff to participate in drug prevention education activities, making a visible statement that we are firmly committed to a drug-free and alcohol abuse-free community and lifestyle.
Thank you, Mrs. Blair. Are there any questions or other comments on that? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Preferential? Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Mrs. Fikes, your item 3E1, page 64. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Blair makes a motion. May I have a second? May I have a second?
I can second it?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Mrs. Fikes makes a second. Mrs. Fikes.
This is my third year on the board, and it's the third year that I have been concerned about the titles used for appointment of extra duty activities. The titles do not reflect the jobs that people are doing. They are set titles. I've been told for the last 2 years that this needs to be negotiated, and yet the set titles have continued and continued. So I cannot support, I cannot approve this tonight because we don't know what people are doing for us. How can we pay them when we don't know what they're doing? So I just am very upset that this has continued below these 3 years.
Thank you, Mrs. Fikes. Mrs. Blair.
I want to add to that, because I'm in agreement that if we are paying a stipend for an extra duty, that it should be accurate. The description of the activity that is being performed should be accurate. The fact that we have drill team advisors listed for our approval when we know that there's no drill team at that school, it's concerning. We aren't being wholeheartedly honest and transparent in the approval of these items. Individuals may be performing an extra duty, but it's certainly not a PEP squad advisor, because there's no PEP squads at the junior high. There's no drill team advisors because most of our junior high schools don't have drill teams anymore. And so I'm in agreement that it's difficult to support an item when we are well aware that that isn't the activity or the stipend that is being earned or performed.
Thank you, Mrs. Blair. Okay, so I just do want to comment that it may not be the title, but there is an activity going on.
Correct.
In regards to the stipend being paid. It may not be the correct title, though. Okay, so, because I don't want people to think that we're just giving money away. So with that, Mr. Cruz.
And we do so much for kids. I mean, these primary objectives that we do, we're thinking about children. And maybe mistakes happen here or there, but you know, it's the value, what we think of is our children. So yes, there are problems, but they could be addressed. Is it appropriately to be addressed here? Who knows? But for me, there's other priorities, and the priority is that children have opportunities to enjoy their education, their activities, their curriculum. So that's how I feel.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Mrs. Fikes.
I completely agree. Children should have opportunities, and I believe that these people are offering services. My issue is 3 years running. I have complained about this, and it is still in the same state that it was 3 years ago. And it is not fair to our employees. It is not transparent, and I cannot support it.
Thank you, Mrs. Fikes. And again, I just want to indicate that this is a matter of negotiations. With that, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Preferential? I know, it dies. Ms. Kaler?
2-2?
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that none of the classified personnel items are being approved?
They pulled the entire item. So would you like to modify it just so that it's only the items dealing with the inaccurate titles? Because that does include everything within that item.
I only know for sure the junior high, so on page 64, but all of the things under appointment extra duty activities goes from 64 through 67. And to be perfectly honest, if these titles are wrong, how do I know that the other titles aren't wrong? That's of grave concern to me.
Okay, so then.
I don't know how you
so-
pull this apart, since this was under one item. This is,
Maybe for Ms. Kaler, that it just say the extra duty activities.
But we would need to identify them. Oh, okay. But do you see what the issue is, that we're also taking into consideration?
The department chair
Yeah,
items.
Well, even those. Let's see, where is it at? Mrs. Fikes, what page was that again?
64.
64. But the item begins on page 54.
And actually, yeah. So what we did was we actually pulled all the items starting at page 55 when we pulled the item.
So how else do you do that?
Well,
I mean, I indicated page 64.
so beginning, so is it the items that are beginning, just the extra duties, or are you talking about department chairs also?
I was talking about extra duty activities that begin
Okay.
on page 64.
Okay, so then, Pat, can we reconsider and simply pull the extra duty activities section, kind of like how I pulled just item B?
Yes, because Mrs. Fikes will be specific when she said page 64.
Right, okay, so,
Yes, you can reconsider it, you need to move it in second and then redo it.
okay, so let's make the motion to reconsider.
But she did say page 64.
Yeah.
You need her to read appointment extra duty activities?
Right,
Oh,
because we just pulled the item,
Okay, so move.
And then may I have a second to reconsider?
Second.
So Mrs. Fikes made the motion, Mrs. Blair seconds to reconsider. So are we voting for the entire thing, just,
To reconsider, then you're starting all over.
but are we starting with
Then the next motion will be to approve everything with the exception of appointment extra duty activities.
Okay,
So this is just to reconsider.
okay, so we've reconsidered, so the motion, we need to make a motion
We
to
need-
approve everything.
We have
Oh,
to
I'm
vote.
sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Preferential? Opposed? Mr. Cruz, were you a yes vote?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So 4-0 to reconsider. Mr. Joseph, you'd like to make a comment?
Yeah, the problem is you have activities directors, athletic directors, you have people on here, yearbook advisors, that you would be negating. And, you know, I would just like to caution you that if you do that, you're going to get a lot of pushback from people who are not going to be approved on this list. So it's
But they'll
just a
be approved
caution.
at our next board meeting, if it's corrected.
Well, but since it's a negotiated item.
It has to be negotiated
We
first.
have no really control over whether or not these items will be cleaned up through negotiations by the next board meeting. So-
Why, and maybe someone from cabinet can explain how correcting an activity title is a negotiated item, because the item is already negotiated, right? The school site already has that allocation, that stipend. What we're seeking is correction of the title. Why is that negotiable?
So in Appendix C of the ACT contract, they're listed with these titles. So therefore, we cannot go outside of those listed titles. We are proposing language to ACT to add other titles so that it will complement what the actual duties reflect.
It doesn't have to happen in negotiations. You could do a separate MOU to correct those,
Yes,
and it can be done by the next board meeting.
I will work with the ACT president.
Then we're okay. There should be no pushback if we work with ACT to get it done in 2 weeks.
I'm good.
Those are my negotiation skills.
Look that way.
I did. I was looking over there.
Okay, so the motion is going to be to approve everything except for the extra duty activities.
Correct.
Okay, so someone needs to make that motion.
I move to approve all items within
3E1.
3E1, exempting the appointment of extra duty activities, page 64 to 67.
May I have a second, please?
So moved.
So, yes.
Page 67 is extra duty sports, is that as well included?
No,
No.
it's just that the extra duty activities bleeds through to the top of page 67.
So only the extra duty
Activities.
activities. Okay, are there any questions or comments? Okay, I want to make a comment. I myself would rather approve the entire item, but what I don't want to happen is for it to fall through the cracks and it die, and actually, I don't know what happens when it dies. So, yeah, nobody gets paid. So I don't want that to happen. So in good faith, I hope that this gets done before the next board meeting so that our people can be paid for what they are doing.
That's right.
I'm sure
That's the
everybody
only reason that I'm going to vote for that. Otherwise, I would be voting absolutely not, just for the record. Okay, so we've had the motion, we've had the second. Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Preferential? Aye. Mr. Cruz, were you a yes?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion passes 4-0. Preferential was yes. Mr. Joseph, whether there's some type of agreement or not, I would like for this to come back.
Yeah, it will come back.
Okay.
I think that what has happened over the years is there's been fluidity in the job descriptions. So what has happened is we've had administrators who've had the flexibility to be able to use, if they have an avid advisor this year, they've been able to use
Renaissance next
year.
year.
Yeah, they've had that flexibility to use that stipend that way. But if the board, if the direction is we will have finite kind of designations, we'll do that. But understand that it doesn't give the administration the flexibility year to year to be able to use the stipend the way they've been able to use it now. And if that's the board direction, that's what we'll do.
And who knows, maybe somebody will suggest that you just have some
Generic.
non-title
Exactly. Yep.
stipends, which
Exactly.
would make more sense.
Well, I just wanted people to understand
Right.
why it's been that.
Right. So maybe you just have a stipend A, stipend B, stipend C. Who knows? Okay, so moving on, I pulled 3E3, specifically item B, which is Director of Nutritional Services. And may I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Blair makes a motion, Mrs. Fike seconds. Board members, what I would like to do is I would actually like to pull this item. There were no clear revisions, and so I'd like for staff to bring it back with some clearer explanation. So I would need a consensus to pull the item and bring it back next board meeting. Board members?
I just have a quick question. You
Sure.
mean no clear explanation of why it's being revised?
There is
Or-
no, if you look at the item, there is no revision in the job title.
Oh, in the job
I
title.
mean,
but-
in the job description, I'm sorry.
Oh, got it.
And it's under revisions.
For revision.
Yes, Mrs. Fikes?
Aren't the capital letters the?
That's what I thought.
Yes. Item B, just item B, which is the nutrition services.
So what page is that one? Because you said 72,
72.
and 72 is,
But page 73 has
Well,
lots of
you know what, that's
capitals.
where it starts. That's the item. I'm sorry? That's the item. So
So isn't everything that's in capital letters the revision, language of revision?
So if you look at page 77, which is item B, the Director of Nutrition Services.
Oh, I see. Okay. There's no change, okay. Except the salary range. Is that all that's being changed? Is the salary range?
Yes.
Well, if that's all that's being changed, it is indicated as the change.
Well, it is, but I think there's some explanation that needs to go along with it, and I would hope that it would be a little bit more clear, a little bit more transparent when it comes back. So, board members, do I have, I'm sorry, Mrs. Fikes, did your light go on? Okay. So with that, board members, I would just ask if we could pull this item so that it can come back at our next board meeting.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. So that item is to be pulled and to come back with a little bit clearer explanation as to what's going on. All righty. So we are at information items. Are there any questions or comments on any of the two information items? All right, so moving on, Mr. Cruz with closing comments or communications.
So our smart balance assessment, they came out from the spring of 2017, and there's been some indication of concern throughout the state that have administered the exam. All the states, those scores went down. So there might be some issues involved with the testing. So we'll have to see. I think the professor was from USC or Yale discussing that this test may have not been as accurate as it should have been. So we'll have to see in the future what will be the case for the Smarter Balance the spring of 2017. Thank you for all the staff. You know, when it comes to sufficiency of textbooks, things like that, I have to thank the staff, members, personnel, who made the effort to ensure all students have what they need in order to be successful. It is a very difficult process of doing it, so thank you. And also I want to say, you know, Yvette Farley, her daughter stated to be fearless. And you know, that caught my attention. And she is true when stating that to be fearless. Because a lot of times, you know, when there's fear and chaos, we have a tendency of moving in a direction that is not good for humanity. So sometimes it's good to think out when situations do happen that makes us scared, makes us afraid, that we don't do things that hurt our liberty, our pursuit of happiness. So Yvette Farley's daughter is correct, and that is that we always have to be fearless. Never back down when we are afraid and so forth. So I have to admit, that was very wonderful to hear that. And, you know, and also, let me see. Yes. And finally, on Sunday night, a mass murderer opened fire on thousands of people enjoying leisure time with family and friends. It's impossible to imagine the kind of evil that lurked within souls, the evil that incited this terror. Sadly, though, I can't think of a law that can be written that could look into the human soul and stop such diabolical deeds from happening. But what we can do and what we have been doing and what we do extremely well is to show compassion and lend a helping hand and support those who have suffered at the hands of evildoers. Like many of you, I am numbed and the realization that such evil surround us. And I just want to say that our rights, you know, don't come from the government, and they don't come from the Bill of Rights. They come from God. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Mrs. Blair.
Tonight I'm wearing a Glenmead Elementary School shirt, and it is in recognition of their upcoming 50-year celebration in 2018. So how exciting, 50 years. We'll be attending great festivities up there very soon. Today I attended yet another football game for my freshmen. And I know that it's exciting for every parent when their child participates in activities. But for me, this is all new because this was a child who was introverted, who wore glasses and braces and all of that, who never I imagined being out on a field with contact lenses and being concerned about the way that he looks and things like that. And so having to split my time between his games on Thursday and trying to make it to closed session, I was a little heartbroken today because I left at the beginning of the third quarter, and as soon as I buckled, I left. And I'm usually the parent taking pictures of everyone's child because everyone works, and so we've even created a Facebook page where I upload all of the pictures. But as soon as I left and got in my car, I started to receive text messages and then a phone call that he had intercepted a ball and had ran like some 20 yards or something. And I thought, his first major play, and I wasn't there. And I sat in my car and I cried like a baby because I thought, I promised him I would be there, and I wasn't. And so when he realized via text, when I messaged him and I got here and I said, I'm so sorry that I wasn't there, and he was like, no, he didn't even realize I wasn't there. And of course I asked parents, did anyone take a video, any picture, a single picture of my child? No such thing. But he will get to relay what he felt today during that infamous first opportunity for him. And so with that, I want to say to the coaches and everyone who has supported him and all the other first-time players, every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. And that's from Rita Pearson, an educator. So to all parents who think that their child cannot achieve, if you have doubts, just know that in due time, they will be in the spotlight, just like mine was today. So with that, thank you. And again, I thank the board and Mr. Joseph for being understanding about my delays in arriving. To Ms. Fellows, who then has to catch me up on everything in about 3 minutes. But I truly do appreciate everyone who has heard me out as I excitedly explain that he's a starter and then not a starter, and then, he's trying again to get play time. And so I want to really thank Mrs. Fikes and Mrs. Orozco for being awesome moms and helping me through this. And to everyone who is sharing in my Facebook page the tons of pictures I'm posting of him, even though he's just standing on the sideline. So thank you all and have a good night.
Thank you, Mrs. Blair. Mrs. Fikes.
Jonah mentioned the Student Advisory Committee. I was in attendance at that meeting, as was Mr. Joseph. And it's where every ASB sends a contingency of student leaders to be able to talk with Jonah so that he can give us the best representation of the students' point of view on our panels. I'm really looking forward to that being re-energized. It is supervised by Sharon, is it Sharon? Siobhan Roberts, who is new now in student support services, but has come to us from Chino Hills High School as their assistant principal, and I think she's going to have a great impact on this organization. I did want to say, Jonah, you talked about Ramona's Alzheimer's walk, and I thought I heard them say that they were going to do a walk a month, but each month was going to change their impact. Did you hear that? So it was Alzheimer's this month, but next month it's going to be something else?
I'm not sure about that.
Did you, Mr. Joseph, did you hear that? Okay. So, I mean, that's very exciting. I'm thrilled that they're doing Alzheimer's, but it's to me even more thrilling to think that they're in advance planning those kinds of things out. And as evidenced by Mrs. Blair, we all on the board are impacted by our own students' experience. And so my grandson is in the autism program at Rolling Ridge Elementary School for preschool. So he had his first big school field trip to the LA County Fair this last month. And so I just wanted to do a word of appreciation to the fair, the administration of the fair that brings all of our students out to that wonderful experience. And I think they pay for the buses and do so much to give our students an additional experience. And I know for the kids in his class, it was hugely impactful, and we're very grateful. With that, I have no further comment.
Thank you, Mrs. Fikes. Mr. Joseph?
Congratulations to Ayala High Senior Brian Montgomery on his acceptance into the 2018 U.S. Army All-American Marching Band. He is one of 125 seniors across the nation to be selected for this honor. Brian will perform on bass drum with the band in the halftime performance of the 2018 U.S. All-American Bowl football game on January 6th. Are you prepared? The Great California Shakeout, a statewide earthquake drill, will take place 10:19 a.m. on Thursday, October 19th. All of our schools will participate in the event to make sure that they are ready for earthquakes big and small. If you'd like to participate as a community member, learn how at www.shakeout.org/California. And finally, it's probably fitting that I'm the first one publicly to congratulate Dr. Enfield on tonight's vote. You know, as I think about the 10 years that you've been here, first starting as a director, assistant soup, and the last 3 years as deputy superintendent, I've seen how not only have you grown as an administrator, but I've seen your love and dedication to this district. I wish everybody could see what I've seen about you the last 10 years. There would be no question about your efficacy. You know this district, and you know its culture. You know its nuances, its intricacies, even its vicissitudes. You are the right person to take over. And I must tell you that on June 30th, when I leave, I am heartened and I am comfortable leaving this district in your capable hands. With that, I'll conclude my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Well, let me start with what I start with at every meeting, and that is the retirements listed in our agenda for this evening. Julie Gobin, 15 years of service, our public information. Carrie Sotelo, 12 years of service, elementary library media center assistant. Mary Asuncion, hey, 21 years of service. Typist clerk 3 at Magnolia Junior High School. Martha Arroyo, 27 years of service, central kitchen assistant. Craig West, 32 years of service, maintenance 3 plumber. Congratulations to you, and I hope that you find joy in your retirement. Second, Mrs. Blair, you're going to have tons of opportunities to see him shine, I promise. And it is a joy to see your babies just do things that you didn't think they could. So you will have tons more opportunities, I promise. Third, okay, so I attended college fair at Chino Hills High School. Very well put together, very well attended. May I just remind everyone, if you have a student, please don't wait until they're a junior or a senior. Please don't wait. Get that information now. Things are changing. So please attend these college fairs that our district puts on. Tonight we had, speaking of college, tonight we had a couple of visitors. We had Josh Levy from Laverne, and he is, his major is educational counseling, master's. And then we had from Cal Poly Pomona, Brianna Salcido, who's working on her teaching credentials. So thank you for being here this evening. And next we have, I have notes all over, so I'm trying to see where I'm at here. Students from Cal Poly and Laverne. Next, Dr. Enfield, congratulations. I'm confident that you will go right into those shoes. Maybe not as snazzy as his, but sorry. So, moving on into some a little bit more serious. Tonight, first of all, locally, many of you are familiar with Mr. Dave King from Isaiah's Rock. He's going through some serious health issues, and so I just hope that you keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Also, with the Las Vegas incident, it's true, many of us know of people who were there who came out safely and who were also killed. And so I would ask that you keep those individuals and their families in your thoughts and prayers. And I just want to share, today we received an email from Supervisor Kurt Hagman, and it's in relation to the Las Vegas shooting. But what it is, it's California survivors of Las Vegas shooting can apply to the state for help. So if you know of anyone who could use the help, I'm sure you could just go onto Supervisor Hagman's website and find that information there. With that, I would just like to close in memory of the victims, the families, the heroes, and I just ask that you keep them in your thoughts and prayers. With that, I adjourn at 9:36 p.m.